Hi, my name is Mike Nolan, and first I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to all our loyal supporters for the incredible help and encouragement as we work through this process. We created this presentation to provide an update on the status of I-Square and to dispel the many misconceptions about our project. We also provide factual data and comparisons of our proposed tax pilot plan and, most importantly, what it would mean to you. All of the information here has been put together by I-Square, reviewed by two separate financial professionals, and a focus group consisting of 10 Irondequoit residents. Wendy and I decided to build I-Square solely for our love of this town. Born and raised here in Irondequoit, it is important to me to leave our town in better shape than when I arrived. We feel that it is so important to create this town center, this focal point, and another great highlight of Irondequoit. We also feel strongly about the dire need for economic growth and investment in our town, the need to rejuvenate and bring a positive light to Irondequoit. I-Square is currently in a holding pattern. The County of Monroe has requested that we gain the support of the Town of Irondequoit for Comida to consider an extended term pilot agreement. The only thing that the town was asked to consider are the tax revenue impacts and economic benefits to the Town of Irondequoit. The West Irondequoit School Board was asked for the same support, which was approved unanimously, subject to a few conditions. The town board voted in July to support our application, subject to some terms and conditions, but when it came down to settle those terms and conditions, the town board chose not to support the extended term and then followed with a barrage of misleading facts, distractions, bringing up fictitious concerns that are totally irrelevant to the cause at hand. I want to be as polite as possible about this, but need to address some false information that has originated from the members of our town board. Let out through public meetings and through the media, this false information has led to many misconceptions about our plans and was intended only to distract us away from the facts, figures, and true economic development benefits of our proposal. One town board member said to the news that we were requesting a $13 or $14 million tax break. That is simply not true. For one, the town is only being asked to support the town's portion of our tax bill. Two, they are using an unrealistic future assessment to calculate the value of our property. Three, they are calculating it as if we were not going to pay any taxes at all. No town, no school, no county, or otherwise. Even with all that, it does not add up to the $13 or $14 million. The supervisor has repeatedly stated that we do not have a business plan. Simply not true. The fact is we do. We have a very thorough business plan, including financial projections, cash flow analysis, timelines, tenant base, rent rolls, and debt service calculations. This is just another distraction from the real facts and figures of I-Square. It was said that we just recently sprung this demand for the town for a tax break. Again, not really the case. Our pilot plan had been discussed, including the term of 25 years, since November of 2011, just about a year ago, followed by written correspondence in January of 2012, and it has always been 25 years. The first time we've ever heard the term 10 years was one day prior to the meeting that we all saw on TV recently. It was 25 years when they voted to support it back in July. With all this going on, if I look at myself and say if I were on the town board and someone came along looking to improve a small but significant part of our town in the way we are, I would do everything in my power to help. That is not the case here. But any which way I look at this, I cannot even imagine working against such a positive project in the ways that they have. We keep hearing them say that they support I Square. We support I Square. We support I Square. Let me tell you, Wendy and I are I Square, and they do not support I Square. Now we'll go through our pilot proposal and how it is calculated. Please keep in mind that we tried to keep this as simple and clear as possible, so we could not show all the different possibilities that exist. We did our best to show the most likely scenarios and how it would affect you. Let's talk about how your town taxes are calculated. This is actual numbers from their 2012 budget. The 2012 total town budget, which would cover their expenses for things like the police department, sewer, public works, parks, recreation, plowing, road work, etc., would be $30,918,763. During the same 2012, it is projected that they would have revenue, income, through their normal activities, things like permits, fees, fines, sales tax, and other revenue channels. And in 2012, it was projected that that would be $14,615,737. The difference in those two numbers between what they're going to spend, what they're going to take in, is called the levy. The levy is the difference in the amount of money that needs to be covered by us taxpayers of Irondequoit. So if you take the levy, divide it by our town's total tax assessed value. In our case, the total town assessment is $2,511,525,000. So you take the levy, divide it by the assessment, and that equals a tax rate. For 2012, our tax rate was 0.00651, or $6.51 per thousand. The average property in Irondequoit has an assessed value of $126,550. At a $126,000 property, in 2012, your tax would be $824. Here you can see the breakdown of your total tax bill. We used I Square's taxes as example here, as they could change slightly depending on your special district charges. Special district charges consists of things like sewer, water, lighting, and fire district charges. So in some cases, they are based on actual usage rather than your assessment. In I Square's case, that represents about 16% of our total property taxes. The town of Irondequoit, 13%, the county, 17%, and the West Irondequoit School District, 54%. We spoke about how normal taxes are calculated and where the money goes, but what is a pilot? By definition, pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes. The money or the payments go to the same place and are used the same way as regular tax payments. But to the developer, a pilot is essential not only to limit and accurately predict costs, but also to qualify for affordable financing. Very few businesses could afford to take the risk to grow or build something new, especially a project of this size with so much infrastructure and so many public improvements, without a longer-term pilot. To have a planned, predictable tax expense is necessary for the long-term viability of I Square. The site plan and objectives reflect the Town of Irondequoit's Titus Cooper 2003 master plan. We followed this plan explicitly in the development of our site plan, but also that same master plan has 12 pages of documents that describe the need for financial assistance, including tax stabilization, again, pilot, and also other public sourcing that should make available for a project like this. However, most of the ones listed are outdated as they are no longer available from 2003. A pilot agreement allows the time to recover from the initial costs of a development, especially those that do not generate income but are community based, like the road, sidewalks, lighting, stage, art gallery, and community meeting center. For the community, pilots incentivize the forward development in a town, which in turn builds value for homeowners and creates a substantial increased revenue base for the future. As you can imagine, there's a lot of facts, figures, projections, estimations that must be done in figuring out pilot, the advantage, the cost to the community, the cost to the town, and the cost ultimately to any residents. So in addition to having two financial professionals review all our facts and figures to make sure we were explaining it properly and that we had our own understanding correct, in addition to them, we reached out to a group of Irondequoit residents, people with an interest in seeing I-Square built, but not necessarily all fans of a pilot or a tax reduction plan. They all, with us, opening up our books, went through the process, the math, the understanding, the logic, and the economic benefits of the I-Square proposal. You'll see their comments here. This slide shows what our annual tax payments would be for I-Square under a number of different scenarios. So first, we purchased 13 properties in 2011. They had an assessed value of $2,100,000. And then in between 2011 and 2012, we demolished 4 properties, and the assessment would drop to $1,910,000. And then after March 1st, we've demolished another 5 properties, and our 2013 assessment will come in at approximately $1,395,000. If you go to the center column here, it'll show what our payments were for that time. 2011, $2.1 million assessment. Our annual payment in the center column there was $85,240. That's the town, county, and school. Does not include our special district fees. 2012, when it reduced, went down to $77,520. And then in 2013, it's expected to go down to $56,618. During our 25-year pilot, our average payment, it would begin at $85,240, just like 2011, and it would escalate annually by 2.5%. And over those 25 years, that payment would average $116,464. Again, that's town, county, and school combined. After our 25-year pilot expires, and we go into our 26-year, we expect our assessment to come in approximately $10,100,000, and that would generate annual tax payments of $411,000. You can kind of see when we go off the pilot, our payment's going to go up substantially. What does that mean to you? We'll have another slide coming up to go over that. But what it means to us is that's kind of the level where it becomes unaffordable. If we're still in our mortgage period for repayment of the building and construction costs, and our taxes were to escalate, that amount would simply make I-Square unaffordable at that point. But let's compare, because it was talked about that what if another development was able to go in there by us not building, or comparing to not building wasn't a fair analysis because a CVS or somebody else showed interest in our property. So we looked at and compared it to the Rite Aid on the corner of Hudson Avenue that carries an assessment of $2.8 million. We figured that would be the high end of CVS because it's not quite on the outside corner, maybe slightly less than that, but we use that number for example's sake. That would generate annual tax payments of $113,643. If you kind of take notice, our pilot payment exceeds that amount that it would be for CVS. Now, if we look at just the town portion of it in the far right column, 2011 taxes go all the way to the right, 13,683. 2012 dropping to 12,4. 2013 to $9,000 roughly. If the town accepts our pilot as we've proposed it, the average year during that 25 years would generate town taxes of $18,695. That's over $5,000 more than they were getting before, and again, it's escalating 2.5% per year, which generates that 18.6 average. But look at what happens after the 25-year pilot expires. It becomes a bit of a windfall for the town. They pick up an additional revenue, another $48,000, I'm sorry, bringing our total payment up to $66,000 per year. If that same CVS in that example was used, their payment would again go up a little bit with inflation, but max out around $18,242 in town tax. People have asked us why can't we take advantage of the 10-year pilot offered by the town of Irondequoit. 10 years, for one, is very comparable to the standard Comida pilot that we could get. That's actually 14 years, but in money it works out to about the same thing as what the town's offering us over a 10-year period of time. For a project of this size that has this much infrastructure and upfront investment to be borne solely by residents of the community, it's necessary to have the 25-year term in order for us to afford to build it the way it should be built and the way it could be built. In order to have a sustainable project, variables like property taxes need to be minimized. We need to keep this project viable so we can make a accurate presentation to business lenders and granting agencies. Some have said that 25 years is too long, that we would be setting a precedent. I would only hope so, that to set a precedent with a project like I-Square, letting people know that it is okay and incentivize to invest in your community, to make Irondequoit a better place, to bring value and so many measurable aspects such as safety, infrastructure, job creation, culture, education, and community space, and to have a project that has had unprecedented community support. This slide shows the difference from what the town voted to support, a 10-year pilot, versus the plan that we proposed, and what the total difference is in dollars and cents. So, top column here, taxes paid, years 1 through 10. In the first column, the town 10-year pilot proposal, $153,000. And under I-Square's proposal, the same $153,000. The taxes paid years 11 through 25, this is where a significant difference is, $1,142,000 under the town's plan, and under I-Square's proposal, $314,000, a difference of $828,000. The total over a period of 25 years in town taxes would be, under their proposal, $1,295,000, and under our proposal, $467,000. Again, the same difference of $827,000. That is what the town is voting on. That is the crux, I guess, of where we're at, and the difference between where the town stands and where I-Square stands. If you divide that out or figure, further quantify that number, that works out to a difference of $33,117 per year, or if you go one step further, divide it by the number of properties in Irondequoit, $1.67 per year per property in Irondequoit. Now, don't take that number the wrong way. $1.67. This is $1.67 that we will not be reducing your bill by. It's not $1.67 more you will be paying in taxes for I-Square. Very important to note. That is the opportunity lost. You'll be not saving $1.67 per year per resident if you accept our plan versus the town's plan. Now, a couple things to note. We have not put inflation in these figures. We have not put a tax rate increase in these figures. We've not included special district fees. Special district fees have to be paid above those. The tax rates are probably inevitable, and so is inflation. But all our plans are figured so that to compare apples to apples. What are you getting? The town, we're asking them to not receive $828,000 over this 25 years, to continue what they were getting before we built I-Square. But what are they getting for that? They're getting delivery of a long-awaited, much-anticipated 2003 Titus Cooper master plan as designed. A new road along with the property at a value of $1.5 million. A new town center, something really to get excited about in Irondequoit. A unique showpiece, bringing dollars, bringing jobs, bringing development to Irondequoit. Alright, on this slide, we're comparing what the average would be per year for 25 years in a number of different scenarios. So, although we look at the first column, it says 10-year proposed pilot, we're looking at what it would average over 25 years and what it would cost I-Square and what we would pay in taxes. Again, this is on the town portion of our taxes, and we have not reflected inflation or tax rate increases, special district fees in this calculation. Again, we're trying to keep it simple and presentable. First column, town's 10-year proposed pilot with a 2.5% annual escalator, and we're basing the property on a matured or a completed assessed value of $10.1 million. The average over 25 years, because we'd be paying 10 years under the pilot and 15 years at normal taxes, would average out to $51,812. Over the subsequent 25 years, the buildings we're going to build are going to last 100 years. So we're going to look at the first 25, maybe the second 25, and I can't think beyond that. So first 25, the second 25 years would average out to approximately $66,000. Go to the second column, per year. Go to the second column, I-Square's 25-year proposed pilot. During the first 25 years, we would average $18,695 in town taxes, and over the second 25 years, we would average $66,000 per year town taxes. But go back to that scenario we talked about before. What if Rite Aid or CVS was to build there? Say they were to build and not take a pilot, which most of them do. If, again, we used an assessment of $2.8 million, they would receive taxes a little less than I-Square, $18,242 a year. But what this shows is there's no real appreciation. There's no upside. You can get that now. We're going to get that later. We're going to keep getting that, subject to going up and following inflation, which really doesn't add any new revenue to our system. Just to put an example over on the right, we said pre-Nolan. What if we never bought any of these properties? The town would have continued to get that same $13,683, and they'd continue to get it going forward. Probably the only variable I'd throw at that one is, instead of having inflation, with the condition of the properties, they're more in a deflationary standpoint over there than they are inflating. So that may even drop lower than that. This slide shows exactly the same thing, except now we're looking at all our taxes, school, county, and town, Again, we're not including special district fees as they're based on usage and other factors. We're keeping them out of all our comparisons. Um, First column, town, 10-year proposed pilot plan. We would have 10 years payments at a reduced amount, and then the following 15 years at a full tax value, and that would average out to total taxes of $322,775 per year, and then for the first 25-year average, the second 25 years, again, no inflation figured in here, but $411,000. So again, upside they go 322,000 up to 411. Under I-Square's pilot proposal, we start out the first 25 years, we average $116,000 a year in taxes and pay that for the first 25 years. And then the same upside, second 25 years is when our taxes go up considerably, and approximately $411,000 in taxes, again, based on a $10.1 million assessment. Same principle with CVS or Rite Aid buildings, same principles with pre-Nolan as the prior slide. Let's talk about the upside of it. What does I-Square bring? So we're going to spend some money, $800,000, less taxes the town will receive over a period of 25 years. How do we, justify that? And what are the social, economic benefits of I-Square? The big one, and because it has so many multitude of different ways that it benefits our community, is job creation. We expect to retain the 30 or 32 jobs that currently exist within I-Square, but also create as many as 40 or more new jobs. It was said that a lot of these jobs are going to be minimum wage jobs. I beg to differ. My daughter is a server at a restaurant, and makes well more than minimum wage. I think a lot of the jobs in there are tip-based type jobs and boutique type jobs, and they typically pay more than the big box stores. That will be generating tax revenue. Both the town and the schools get a portion of all sales tax that's generated within their area of jurisdiction. So it generates expected sales tax will go up at I-Square, being that we'll have more businesses doing more commerce and generating more tax revenue. Comparing it to CVS, we talked about jobs before. They're better jobs. The better draw for Irondequoit. Nobody drives from Greece to Irondequoit or Webster to Irondequoit to visit our CVS or our Rite Aid. They'll pass 10 others along the way. They will come for a boutique, an environment, a restaurant, a shop, a cultural attraction, and people will drive from near and far to come there. Tax income, obviously a huge upside in the long-term benefits of this beyond our 25-year pilot. If the buildings only last 100 years, there's 75 years of tax generation to go behind it. A new road, fixing that intersection, making it newer, safer crosswalks and sidewalks. Probably the biggest one across the board in this whole slide is to show Irondequoit is open for development, interested in progression, interested in shaking our strip plaza, old-looking town and working toward a progressive, new, economically viable town. Thank you for listening to me today. Thank you for your interest in I-Square, in understanding the facts and figures that we've shared with you today. Please understand, Wendy and I are so committed to this project, so committed to this town, so dedicated and enthusiastic about the prospects of making Irondequoit even better than it already is, and just improving one little piece of our town. If there's anything in here you don't understand, if there's anything in here that you question, please feel free to contact me, Leslie. My phone number's listed there. By email, by phone, any which way you like. Please share with us your thoughts. We are very interested. We truly feel this is the absolute best option for the town, its residents, for I Square, so we can all work together to make this community stronger, healthier, better, and open for business. Thank you very much.